What is up, YouTube? It is Joker777 and I'm back with another review for you guys, and I'm actually going to be taking a shot at my very first movie review, and what better way to do it than Marvel's latest offering, which is Thor: The Dark World. Now, Thor is set post-Avengers, meaning this has happened after the events of the Avengers, and the whole story is about this race of elves known as the Dark Elves, and basically they thrive in darkness, and whenever light was brought to the universe, they tried to basically use this weapon called Ether to turn that light back into darkness so once again they could thrive. They are led by their leader Malekith, whose sole mission is to basically cast the whole entire universe in darkness, and the only way he can do this is to use the weapon known as Ether whenever all 9 realms are essentially in line with one another. It happens once every 5,000 years, called the Convergence. And therefore it is up to Thor to stop them and restore balance to the universe. And that's basically the plot of this movie, and I'm going to give my overall feelings first, and I'm going to break down what I didn't like and then what I did like, and then I'll give it a score. So, overall, I felt this movie was rather enjoyable. I felt it was a fun time at the movie theater, and if you're looking to spend $11 on a movie and you don't know what to see and Thor's out, if you haven't seen Thor, I'm going to go ahead and actually recommend it. There were some problems with it, and I'll get to those in a second, but overall, it was a fun time at the movie. As far as, where do I feel it lies versus Thor 1, I actually preferred Thor 1 just a tiny bit more. I definitely liked it over Iron Man 3, just because Iron Man 3 just kind of ticked me off on some levels. So, that was my overall feelings and opinions. Now let's get into what I felt that I liked about the movie, what I didn't like about the movie, and I'll start with what I didn't like, just so we can get the bad stuff out of the way, we can come back to some positive things, and all will be right with the world. So, what did I not like about the movie? The first thing, and I think this is the main complaint that everyone had, was Malekith. Malekith was a very, very weak villain. I didn't feel any threat from this guy. When you look at, villains in superhero movies, you think of people like General Zod, the Joker, Bane, Iron Man 3, they had the Mandarin, which still kind of ticked me off, but it is what it is. And yeah, you do know that the good guys are eventually going to win in the end, but you have to feel some kind of threat from a villain. You have to feel like that this villain could possibly take them down, which, every single Marvel villain that's come out, and even every DC villain that's come out for the movies, basically has almost presented that kind of threat. Malekith, for some reason, just didn't feel all that threatening. I don't know if it's because he didn't get a whole lot of on-screen time, or what it was about him, but it was just something about these enemies, and it was something about Malekith that just didn't, I guess, sit right with me, and apparently it didn't sit right well with a lot of people, and so that's one point that I have to bring up. Another thing is that there was kind of a slow build-up. What this movie basically did was, it followed the 3 rules of action. You have to have a good beginning, middle, and end action sequence, and they do that, but the first half of the movie is definitely kind of slow to build up, and really, I remember my friend, he was sitting to the right of me, he actually started falling asleep during the first half of it. Now, I didn't actually fall asleep, I didn't think the thing was that boring, it's just, there were some scenes that were kind of dragged out, we were letting character development happen, we were letting story development happen, and it felt like some of the scenes dragged on just a little bit too long. I did occasionally find myself checking my watch from time to time. This is kind of a minor point, but it's still something to see. There's a big twist at the end, and pretty much everyone in the movie theater saw it coming. It wasn't that big of a twist. If you've seen movies before, and if I can figure it out, then I know that you guys can figure it out. Another thing, and this was kind of weird, it almost felt like the humor felt forced in some ways. Here's basically the way I look at it. There were certain parts in the movie, and they were meant to be jokes, and I noticed this, either I would laugh and none of my friends would laugh, or there would be another scene and one of my friends would laugh but nobody else would laugh. There were a few moments, few and far between, where the whole audience was actually laughing. Now, the one part I do have to bring up, because it's the most funniest scene in the whole thing, it's the one where Tom Hiddleston basically, or Loki as he's known in the movie, basically changes into a certain character in the Marvel Universe, and it was easily one of the most hilarious moments in the movie. I enjoyed it, and I thought they did it perfectly. I don't think really anyone saw that coming, but it was a great little cameo appearance. I enjoyed it, and I laughed uncontrollably along with pretty much everyone else in the theater. But as far as, overall humor, it does feel a little bit forced. It feels like they're trying to basically play up the humor in these Avenger-type films. Really, ever since Iron Man 3 and really the Iron Man movies that tried to basically play up that humor for this superhero to make it, add some comedy relief. Some of it felt forced, and I just feel like that humor wasn't needed in certain parts. And that's pretty much all the bad stuff that I have out of the way. Let's get to some good stuff. Number one is the great acting. Now, I want to go ahead and get Kat Dennings out of the way, because a lot of people said that Kat Dennings sucks. I don't really know if it's her. Now, let me explain. Kat Dennings is an okay actress. She's not like, an Academy Award-winning actress by any stretch of the imagination, but she's alright. I've seen her in Charlie Bartlett, I've seen her in Daydream Nation, and she does pretty good jobs for those roles, and I think the reason why is because she's cast for that role. And in this movie, I don't think it's necessarily her that's the problem. I think it's the character. The character is annoying, and I think she's doing her best to make that character annoying, which in turn leads people to be turned off to Kat Dennings. So that's basically my, little thing about Kat Dennings. Overall, though, the performances across the board were astounding, especially Tom Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston is the man. When it comes to playing Loki, I loved him in every single scene, and especially the scenes where Thor and Loki are together, Tom and Chris. These two, they've worked with each other, they've been on 2 movies together, they know how to interact with one another, and you could tell that it really shines through. When they are together, their performances are astonishing. The scale of the action sequences. The scale has definitely increased since the first one, and you could tell that with these post-Avenger films, Avengers was such a grand, epic scale, and it really set the tone, or really set the bar for scale in an action movie, and the more scenes that progress, the bigger they got. And the ending action sequence is very good. It's very well played out. As far as the hand-to-hand combat goes, there could have been a little bit more of that rather than just, what happened, but the scale of the action sequences has definitely been stepped up, and I enjoyed it. And overall, I thought the story was very good. I think that I like the story from Thor 1 a little bit better, just because there's that whole thing of, him having his powers taken away, he's trying to prove himself, whereas this one is just him saving the universe. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for my review of it. Like I said, I thought it was a good film. I definitely recommend going out and see it, especially if you're a Marvel fan. I enjoy it. And another selling point for me, obviously, is Tom Hiddleston did a fantastic job acting in this. I don't think that guy gets enough credit. And Loki, I feel, is becoming one of my favorite villains as far as, movies are concerned. So, with that, great. I'll give it a B. It's a pretty, solid action release. It's a pretty solid comic book movie, and overall, it's a pretty solid film. Once again, I would suggest going out and seeing it in theaters and even buying it on Blu-ray. So, that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you guys, and you guys just, once again, let me know your thoughts on the movie. Let me know what you thought about, the acting in it, what you thought about the action in it. Let me know if you just really hate Kat Dennings, because, like I said, I gave my opinions on her. I'd like to know your guys' opinion. So, that is it. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. A couple more videos to make and such. But anyways, I'm Joker777, and I'll see you guys later.